Follow That Bee, a first book of bees in the city, written and illustrated by Scott Ritchie, and read by Mr. C, the teacher. Meet the bees. The 5 friends are buzzing with excitement today. They're visiting Martin's neighbor, Mr. Cardinal. He keeps beehives in his backyard and has invited everyone to see how honeybees live. To bring more bees to urban spaces, many cities encourage people to build hives in their backyards. Be a friend. Bees need flowers for food, and just like we need variety in our food, bees need to eat from a variety of flowers. Mr. Cardinal gives his bees a helping hand by keeping a big garden with lots of different wildflowers. The 5 friends give Mr. Cardinal a helping hand by working in his garden. Bees are suffering because they can't find the range of wildflowers they need. Pesticides and fungicides can also hurt bees, and when bees aren't strong and healthy, they may die from parasites and infections that normally wouldn't cause them harm. Bees eat food from all kinds of flowers so they can stay healthy. And I eat food from all 5 food groups so I can stay healthy. Grow a garden. Mr. Cardinal and the friends are heading to the garden center to look for more bee-friendly flowers to plant. Everyone wants to make sure that Mr. Cardinal's bees are well fed. Bees will travel many miles to find flowers, but they prefer to forage close to their hives. A bee might visit over 1,000 flowers in one day. Honeybees love nectar from dandelions, so I let mine grow. Bees' needs. At the garden center, everyone chooses native species, plants that are natural to the area. Bees like these the best. The kids load up the wagon with as many different bee-friendly plants as they can find. Honeybees eat 2 things, and both are found in flowers. Nectar, which the bees turn into honey, is loaded with sugar and gives them energy. Pollen provides them with protein and fat. Bees like purple, blue, and yellow flowers. They can't see the color red. Plant these and help bees: aster, cilantro, crocus, fennel, lavender, poppy, sage, snowdrop, sunflower, thyme. Friends in nature. Next, Mr. Cardinal takes the kids to a local pollinator garden. The flowers here are planted to attract pollinators like butterflies, bees, and wasps, says Mr. Cardinal. What does a pollinator do? Asks Sally. A pollinator moves pollen from one flower or plant to another, says Mr. Cardinal. 1 out of every 3 bites of food that we eat comes from plants pollinated by bees. Without bees, there would be a lot fewer fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Flowers need bees, and bees need flowers. They're friends in nature. When a bee collects food from a flower, pollen sticks to the hair on its body. When the bee goes to the next flower, the pollen it brings with it helps the flower to produce seeds. The seeds then grow into new plants. Honeycomb home. Look, shouts Martin, a beehive. Bees build their hives with wax that comes from their bellies. A female bee chews the wax, mixing it with her saliva or spit, and when she's done, it's just the right texture for building a wax cell. Rows of these cells make up a honeycomb. Many honeycombs make up a hive. The six-sided shape is called a hexagon. It is the best shape for a honeycomb cell because it wastes no space and is super strong. Here's what it looks like inside the hive. Let it be. Pedro notices a construction site next door. That used to be an empty lot. As cities grow, many places that bees once called home are disappearing. But more and more cities are finding ways to get back to nature. People are turning their gardens and rooftops into homes for bees. If an empty lot is left to nature, it will soon be full of bee-friendly flowers and plants. Better together. Back in Mr. Cardinal's yard, the friends watch the bees at work. In a hive, every bee has a job and they work together. No one bee could survive on its own. They have chores to do around the house, just like we do, says Pedro. There is only one queen, and she's the biggest female in the colony. There are a few hundred drones in each hive, but there can be up to 80,000 worker bees. A drone is a male bee. His job is to mate with the queen so that she can lay eggs. The queen has only one thing to do. She lays eggs, and she can lay up to 2,000 a day. Worker bees are female, and they work the hardest. They collect pollen and nectar, make wax, clean the hive, feed the queen, care for the young, and produce honey. Bee or not bee? Yuli notices that it isn't always easy to identify honeybees because other bugs, such as hornets, beetles, and moths, can look similar. Mr. Cardinal teaches the 5 friends how to spot a honeybee: a worker, a queen, and a drone. A bee flaps its wings over 200 times a second, and that's how a bee gets its buzz. Here are the different parts of the bee: antenna, head, thorax, forewing, hindwing, abdomen, stinger, pollen basket, legs, proboscis, and its eye. Wiggle, waggle. Bees get excited, just like us. Sometimes they dance. When a bee comes back from foraging, she dances to tell the other bees where to find food. The round dance says there are flowers close by. The waggle dance says the flowers are far away and shows them which way to fly. The direction and length of each waggle tells the other bees exactly where they can find pollen and nectar. The more a bee waggles, the more food is available. I can do the waggle dance too. Hey, that stings! Ouch! Shouts Nick. Bees sting to scare enemies away. A sting can be very painful for us, causing swelling, redness, and itchiness. But it's much worse for the bee. After a bee stings you, its barbed stinger is torn away from its belly, and the bee dies. Luckily, Mr. Cardinal knows what to do to help Nick. He pulls out the stinger as quickly as possible, washes the sting with soap and water, and applies ice. He explains that everyone should be extra careful around bees. Some people might be allergic to bee stings and not be aware of it. It's honey time! Once a bee colony produces more honey than the bees need, the beekeeper can remove some. Beekeepers wear protective suits in case the bees sting them. Mr. Cardinal has another trick to protect himself. Smoke calms the bees, he says, as he takes the top off the hive. Mr. Cardinal scrapes honey from the frame and puts it through a filter to remove the wax. Then the kids help him pour it into jars, ready for market. A buzzy day at the market. Supporting local beekeepers, farmers, and gardeners is one of the best ways you can help bees. Is there a local farm market where you live? My dad gets our honey here. I'm going to tell everyone about Mr. Cardinal's honey. Be a good neighbor. Do you want to help the bees? Make a bee bath in your garden. You'll need a shallow glass or ceramic dish, rocks, pebbles, or marbles, and fresh water. 1. Put pebbles or small rocks inside the shallow dish. This gives the bees a place to stand while they drink. 2. Place the dish in a shady area of the garden. 3. Add water, just enough so the rocks are not covered. Now your bees can drink, take water home to the larvae, and cool their hives. Don't forget to refill the water. A hive of bees can use a quart of water a day. Does your school have a pollinator garden? Maybe you can start one. Be ready to spend time caring for the garden. Plants need watering and pruning, and remember, bees love dandelions. Let nature take over. Plants will soon grow, and the bees will be grateful.